after the Tennessee game or after the Oregon game? Because after the Tennessee game, it was like the way we dominated the game. It was like man, we're on another level. Like if we can play like this and keep up with this play that we're playing right now, I don't think anyone can really do anything with us. But I think the way we played that game and the way we dominated, it was like, yeah, man, we're about to go do this, man. Like we're more than capable. We're about to go do it. And then playing the Oregon game, like the way that's the number one team in the country. We just dominated them. Yeah. And it was like the only thing that's stopping us from winning is us.
Welcome again to 2024 Ever, the stories of the Ohio State National Championship Buckeyes. This is episode 5. It is with number 6, Sonny Styles, joining us to talk about last year. He's also number 1 in terms of actual Buckeyes. We've had nothing but coaches so far. It's Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. It's great to get some player perspective on that year. It's special. I don't want to put the words in your mouth, but when I say that you are a national champion at Ohio State, Sonny, like has that resonated? Is it sinking in?
Yeah, man, it doesn't feel real. Once that game the clock hit 0, I just looked to the sideline, put my arms up. I'm like, man, like we did it. Like it felt crazy. It was a long run. Played some really good teams, and we obviously had to battle through some stuff. It wasn't at all the perfect season like we wanted, but we ended up achieving the ultimate goal. So that's what matters most.
So you say you put your arms up and you're thinking about the clock hitting 0. Is that the first thing that goes through your mind, or you think about that game in the national championship? When did it feel real, or what memory is floating through your mind when you think about it now?
Man, probably like hugging my brother after the game. And I just realized, like, man, we just won natty, bro. Like it's just like we're all just looking at each other, like, man, who's next? Like, no way, like we did it. Like that's it, we're done. It just didn't feel real at first. It took me a while. It took me probably a week. Going to the parade. Seeing all the fans in the stadium and seeing the highlights of the season is you almost get to that final run in the playoffs. You almost forget about the other part of the season. You're seeing all the things you went through in the season, the good and the bad, and just taking it all in. But I can't pick out a specific moment where it sunk in, but I think just when I think about it, that's probably the first thing I think about is just at the end of the game, the clock hit 0. They threw, I think it's an incomplete pass from at the end of the game. I just turn to the sideline and everyone's just running on the field. And I'm just like this, man, wow. Yeah. It's a crazy feeling. Excited to go do it again now, but it's a surreal feeling for sure.
It's actually an interesting point you bring up. I think that we can look at it in retrospect and be like, okay, Ohio State won a national championship. The season went the way you wanted. Yeah. But in a season like that, there were obviously some pretty lows and things that did not go exactly the way you want. How do you balance looking back at last year and going, we're the national champs, versus we got to make sure that doesn't happen again and this doesn't happen again? And even when you try to celebrate it, is there a challenge in looking past the downs? I mean, or do you guys feel like the downs are the motivation for the future? What's a bigger motivation for the future? Is it the ups or the downs?
I'd say it's kind of a balance of both. And I'd say the most important thing I'd say for especially moving on, we're talking about moving on and moving forward for the future, is realize you have to create a whole new platform, a whole new foundation. It's a whole new team. Yeah, I won a national championship, but that was last year. this year's team hasn't won anything. Even though guys on that team were obviously on the team last year, but sure. You know what I'm saying? The guys on this team this year, we said it in the team room. So everyone in the team room, you get different seats every year. So it's kind of cool. You start in the back, you're a freshman, sophomore year, move up a little bit, junior year, move up a little bit. Senior year, a lot of guys end up in the front row. So it's the guys in these seats haven't won anything yet. The guy that was in that third row seat, he won something. Yeah. But the guy in the first row seat, he hasn't won anything yet. So, I think that's the way we kind of looked at it. But, no, you got to be happy. You achieved the ultimate goal, the national championship. But like I said earlier, you didn't beat the team of North. Didn't win a Big Ten championship. And those are 3 goals. And then national championship we did. But those are 3 goals we, set out to achieve. And obviously we got the big one. That's the one that matters the most. And that's the one that's going to make you, that team's going to live forever because of that. But
I've had that argument with people. There are people who, who will contend that beating Michigan is a more important step. And my argument or my response has been 20 years from now, we will have this team back at Ohio Stadium, and we will not have the 2019 team back at Ohio Stadium. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for a celebration. The national championship matters a lot, and obviously beating Michigan means everything to you and your DNA. But it's not. It shouldn't take away from what you guys accomplished, and you know that goal really started to come into focus last year in early January when a lot of the guys from who could have went off to the NFL decided to come back. You had to make that decision yourself recently. But when you were watching Lathan and Cody and all these guys come back, did it start to sink in like, hey, we have a chance to do something special? Or was it like, hey, I want to be safety, now Lathan's coming back, and Caleb Downs is transferring in. And now, because at that point you weren't even a linebacker yet full time. So how did you start to respond to the understanding that these guys are all coming back for that purpose?
I think seeing all the guys coming back and just looking around, you have that official team meeting after the season ends and everyone decides who's leaving, who's coming back. You look around the room, it's like, man, we got some talented guys in here. Like, you're more than capable of winning the whole thing. So I mean, I think that was more. It wasn't like a goal; it was like an expectation was to win the whole thing. Like the guys we have in this room, the coaches we have, we better go win the whole thing. Like there should be no reason we don't. And so I think that was the expectation we set out, the standard we set out for ourselves. I mean, you heard a lot of guys saying that like before the season even started. Like I specifically remember Denzel saying like "natty or bust."
A lot.
There's a few other guys that said I can't remember, but I specifically remember him saying it, and it was like an expectation for us that year. I mean, we knew how good we were. We knew the guys we had. We knew the coaches we had, and we knew we were fully capable of doing it. So it was just the choice of like, if we were going to win it, it was going to be us holding ourselves back. It wasn't going to be someone's better than us.
Yeah.
So. That was the standard for us last year, the expectation.
So, Sonny, take us back then, roughly a year ago at this time, you're talking about sitting in that, third row. You're changing positions as well. Berm references with Lathan and Caleb. Were you, from the start last offseason, ready to move to linebacker? Did it take convincing? I think from the outside, we've always looked at you and said, well, if he could just, be allowed to eat a sandwich, then he's going to become a linebacker. That seems like a great fit. Was that your mentality? Where were you at this time a year ago?
Yeah, so this time a year ago, seeing the guys we had coming back, then seeing we brought in Caleb, my thing was like, all right, where on the defense do I fit? Like where I can help the team win and like where I can be, at my best. And I felt like it was no question that playing linebacker was going to help me and help the team. So it was a double win. So there was really no like convincing or any like, I don't know if I should. And it was like the season got over. I saw Caleb come in. I was seeing the defense we had, and I was like, yeah, why would I not play Will? Yeah, I'm obviously going to play that. It's kind of just like us sitting down and kind of putting it out in the air that we both agree on it. But I think, I knew it was going to be good for me, and I think the coaches felt like they're going to get good for me. And I felt like playing linebacker, I think Coach Knowles, used me in a great way, put me in a lot of great positions, and I feel like he utilized some of my versatility as well. So it was great. I'm excited I made the move. I feel much more comfortable at linebacker than I did at safety. I feel more, it's like my abilities can flourish more at that position. You get more action, you're in the more plays, more tackles. It's a more physical game, and I think that's what my frame is built to do. So, I'm loving it. I love playing linebacker. It's great.
When you say, it's like we have the benefit of hindsight. It worked. You were a Buckeyes semifinalist. You had a great season. You were, blowing people up in the playoff, huge hits. Like, we know it worked. But when you say, I knew, all right, you felt you knew that it was going to work out. What made you think that it was going to be the right fit?
I think just taking so you look at my size, I was 6'4", 235 last year. And I look across the NFL, linebackers are either my size or smaller.
Right.
So I already had the size. That was fine. I thought when you looked at my game, my sophomore year, a lot of my best games, I was basically playing linebacker. My best game my sophomore year was probably Rutgers. And I don't know if you guys remember that game at all.
Playing a lot closer to the line.
I was playing super close to line of scrimmage. Everything was coming down, smack, smack, smack. So it was all in the box kind of stuff. So I felt like I kind of already was playing linebacker in a way. I just wasn't a linebacker officially.
Right.
So I felt like it was going to work out for me because I think some of my best plays as a safety were where I'm in a situation where I'm almost like an outside linebacker. So that's kind of why I figured that would work. And it's kind of something I thought I was going to eventually play anyways. I knew I probably was going to be playing a 30 yards downfield playing a post in the NFL. That probably was going to be my future. But so something I kind of knew was going to happen, just wasn't sure when. So, I was looking. I thought it worked out well, like you said, and that's why I kind of felt so comfortable doing, just seeing all those things adding up and kind of all just making sense.
You've grown up around great Ohio State linebackers. Obviously, your father was one. To get an opportunity to move into that position room the first time you're doing it, James Loridas is a first-time assistant coach at Ohio State full-time. What was the benefit of just getting to grow with James last year, and how did you see him immediately impacting what you did? Because I know linebacker, it's a lot of instinct, right? Yeah. It's not like you can coach guys on where you're supposed to go, but it's really like, hey, you see it and you go. So how did he help you in that first month of spring ball to really dive into the day-to-day stuff of linebacker?
Yeah, I think Coach Loridas does a good job of not trying to make us be robotic, not trying to make you like, this is where you're supposed to line up, this is where your gap is. Like, it's not super like, he's detailed with it, but at the end of the day, he talks about you got to be a football player, so trust yourself and like trust your instincts. And I think, him being such a decorated player he is and all the ball knowledge that he has, I mean, I'm kind of just soaking it all in like a sponge, and it's been great. But I think the biggest thing is he just puts confidence into us. Like me and Cody, we always knew he believed in us, and he always when you'd mess up and you come to the sideline, he talks to you about it. He tries to understand what you're seeing and kind of tell you what you should be looking for. Little tips and nuggets that make you play a little faster. So I think that was the biggest thing. So I think sometimes some coaches who may not have played football before, they may not understand that. Like, when you draw something up on the board, that's not how it looks to me on the field. Yeah. But he's been there on that field, so he knows what it looks like on the field. Happen. And he also knows the board side of it, being a coach. So I think he has the best of both worlds. That's what makes him such a good coach.
It is an adjustment. I mean, because you played safety-ish in high school, it's a very common thing. Like in baseball, they just put the best player at shortstop or center field, right? And in defense, a lot of times they just put the best athlete at safety because you can affect all three levels of the game in that way. When you, as kind of a certified freak athlete, which you've all...
Who certifies that?
I did. You know that's the case. Like, how much of a mental adjustment is it to yourself say, I'm not actually the guy covering 30 yards down the field? Like, because 2 years ago, you were like, I'm the safety. I can do this. And then to wake up and say, maybe I need to reel that in. How difficult of an adjustment was it for you? And because it's not like you walked out there in spring ball and everything was perfect. And, I think from my vantage point, like halfway through the season or so, it seems like things clicked a lot at linebacker for you. Yeah. What was the biggest adjustment mentally to that change?
I think the biggest adjustment, just like in terms of like switching positions, like obviously you're way closer to the ball, so things are happening faster. I think your eyes got to be sharp with what you're seeing in terms of like the O lineman, the running back, like his footwork, things like that. But I think my footwork was a big thing I really had to get adjusted to at first. Being a safety, you can take a lot of false steps and things like that because you have time and distance. Being a linebacker, if I take like a false step this way and it's counter that way, like I might be a second late now that the lineman's on me. Yeah. So that was something I really had to adjust to, was probably eyes and footwork. But just in terms of like mentally, I don't think I had any problem like accepting that. Like there was no pride in it. I look around, we got Caleb Downs, freshman owner, and you got Lathan Ransom. He's a great boundary safety. I was like, hey, we don't really have anyone at will right now. Yeah. And I felt like, man, that's something I could be really good at too. And there was no problem accepting that role.
Do you think you could have done it last year if it wasn't year 3 of the Jim Knowles defense? Or would it have been, like, you obviously understood a little bit of the concepts and the verbiage and all that stuff. Would it have been harder if it was starting over in a new defense?
I think it would have been a little harder because, when I was playing safety, I played our bandit, I played our adjuster, I played our nickel. So I had a really good idea of I had a good grasp on the whole defense. I'm not gonna say I knew every little detail, but I had a pretty good grasp on it. So playing bandit, you kind of pair with the will a lot. So I knew what the will was doing most of the time. So when I switched, it's kind of I already knew most of the concepts of what I was doing. That was the little details and just actually playing the position. So that made it a little easier. But yeah, I think it would have been a little harder, trying to learn a whole new position, learn all the stuff you have to do at the will position, and then also learning how to play it. Yeah. So it was more so me learning how to play it and not the concepts of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sonny, Berm alluded to this where it was maybe by midseason it was looking like it was connecting. And I think that if there was a theme for you last year and questions that you were getting all the time, whether from us or when you'd have media availability, it's like, hey, are you more comfortable? Are you understanding this? Like, you're starting to be more productive. And sometimes we forget or didn't understand that maybe for that first month of the season, Cody was injured a little bit. You were having to play multiple spots, and while doing this as a linebacker for the first time and coming off a year where you said you played 3 different safety spots, there was a lot on your plate. Can you, now that it's happened, can you provide some insight on how you became more comfortable while all that was happening, and what was it like to work through I don't want to, growing pains might be too extreme of a word for it.
Word.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like to work through those on the fly, knowing how highly the standard that you set for yourself is.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, just the more reps you get a better feel for everything. No matter what position you are, the more reps you get, you're going to get more comfortable. You're going to start seeing things a little faster. It's not going to be the first time you see things. And then just taking the time in, like, outside of, like, when you're off the field. So I feel like I did a pretty good job of, like, taking the time, like, watch film, ask Loridas a bunch of questions, ask Coach Knowles a bunch of questions. Just always trying to seek information and, improve some of the things that I wasn't doing well. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think Cody helped me with that a lot. He was a great student of the game, and I think he helped me learn how to study the game a little bit. Being able to sit down with him, sit down with Loridas, sit down with my dad even. We watched a lot of film together.
Yeah.
Being able to pick his mind on things. So I think being around all those people and soaking all the information, plus the reps, I think those are the two things that helped me, just get more comfortable and being able to play faster and faster.
I was going to save that conversation about Lorenzo for later on, but that feels like a good spot for it, because I remember a ton of practices, whether that was back in spring, throughout the year. Your dad is out there, Lorenzo's out there. You guys are just in the facility for hours afterwards. And just the family atmosphere, not just the football side, but the time that you guys spend is really unique. And I wonder what that's like for the Styles household.
It's great. Like he said, he just pops up at practice. Sometimes I don't even know he's coming. About 95% of the time, I don't even know he's coming.
You still got a thumbprint in here?
Man, I don't even know how he gets in, man. I just look up, I see him over there in the corner. He's got a hat on, but kind of low. Is that my dad? That is him. But it was great, man, having him around. Obviously, he graduated from here, played here, was a great player. And my mom actually graduated from here as well. So it's a little bit of a family affair, but having him around is great. Being able to just have him watch our practices still, sit down on the bench after, talk a little ball. He talk a little trash, we talk a little trash. Being able to come in here, watch tape together every now and then. I think it's special. It's super special. And I think he's really helped me a lot, especially with him playing linebacker.
Yeah.
Just be able to watch stuff with him. He's seen a lot of football. Be able to pick his mind. He gives me little nuggets here and there to help me just play faster. So it's been a blessing.
Well, now you and Zoe have rings too, so I'm wondering, there's probably some bragging rights going on.
Yeah, he's got the real big ring.
Okay.
He got a Super Bowl.
I mean, have you had a chance, really, Sonny, to let this settle in and sink in about all the things that had to happen for you guys to have that moment when the clock struck 4-0 against Notre Dame? You had to, 3.5 years ago, not to toot my own horn, but other than your family, I think I was the first person who knew you were reclassifying and entering college year early. Lorenzo had to transfer back here from Notre Dame, the team you played that night in the national championship game.
Yeah.
You had to, choose here, the linebacker coaching changes and all that stuff. Has it really sunk in for you that, hey, we did this? Or because I know the on-field moment is like, oh my gosh, we're going to Disneyland and all that stuff. But then you have the parade, and then it's back to normal life. You still have to go to class. You still have to, get home and have mom spaghetti or whatever she's making. Like, how have you allowed yourself to celebrate what you guys accomplished?
And I think it was probably a week or two, just taking it all in. But after that parade, it was kind of like, all right, let's lock back in.
Do you feel bad about that? Do you feel like you're supposed to celebrate, or is it 30 years from now I'll look back and care?
I think when you leave here, and that's when you start to look back more and more. But right now, you're still here. You can only celebrate for so long.
I'm really curious about the impact of Cody Simon on you as a person, as a teammate, as a football player. I think Cody, when we look back over the next few years, will go down as one of the more undervalued, underrated players that's ever played here.
Yeah.
Especially as a captain, the Block O, everything that he did for this team. How did he impact you the most?
I think just seeing the kind of teammate he was, the kind of leader he was, he really showed me what it looked like to be a good leader. I mean, we had a lot of great leaders on our team, but I'm just going to work with him every day, being in meetings with him every day, working out with him every day, just seeing the way he operates, the way he interacts with his teammates, whether it's just on a casual thing or whether he's trying to lead somebody. He really showed me what it looks like to lead. He's a great guy, amazing person, and yeah, I think like you said, I think guys in this building knows how good he is, but I don't know if people outside, recognize it enough. I mean, I think he gets some recognition, but I think he needs a lot more. He's a really good player, one of the better players on the defense. Like he's up there with some really big names. So
this series is like looking back, not forward facing. But have you already felt his impact in the way you're approaching this upcoming season and the way that you're handling Riley Pettijohn and TJ Alford and new guys coming in?
Yeah, I think seeing the way he led, like I said, showing how to be a leader, it's kind of like I don't want to be like him. I'm my own person, but like he showed me how to be a leader, and I'm kind of like instilling some of those things now and trying to come step into more of a leadership role this year. And I think just seeing the way he operated last year kind of helped me, know what it looks like to be a good leader and know what I want to be. So, and it's been great, guys like you said, like Riley Pettijohn, TJ, Eli, all the younger guys. It's crazy. I feel like I'm an old head in the room now. But
I
don't feel old though.
Because you're not.
Yeah, so it's a weird feeling, but no, he definitely set the standard for me. He's one of the best leaders I've been around.
I'm interested also in that first 4 weeks of the season. Austin alluded to, Cody was dinged up a little bit, not playing a lot. You're learning the position, and then here comes Arvell, right? A guy that heading into last summer, I don't think a lot of people would have been like, oh, Arvell Reese is going to be a key part of this defense. He's going to be a key player. But here he is pushing you for reps. He's pushing Cody. Like, how did it help you to have him developing the way that he did? Because it seemed like it was a surprise to pretty much everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew how talented he was. Like, the talent was there, the speed, the physicality, all that. He had everything he needed to be a good player. I think it was just him getting a grasp of playing linebacker, because it was almost like his first year playing linebacker.
Well, he played defensive end the last year.
Yeah, because he played defensive end in camp, and then most of the year he was kind of doing like scout defensive end, because his defensive end looks were so good. Like, it was like he was so fast with the ball, it was such a good look. It's like the old lineman wanted him to be the defensive end for scout a lot. So it was like at times he didn't really get to play play linebacker like within our system, like playing our system. Yeah. So last year was like his first year of being able to really focus on playing Mike in our system, getting to learn it, getting a feel for it, getting reps. So I mean, I don't think it wasn't a surprise to me that he ended up being really good, but the ability was there. So I think he actually finally got the chance to get reps and be able to practice the position. Like, it was almost like his first year too, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I think that, the talent level we had in the room, I think it pushed everyone in the room. Like, I mean, even when I first switched to Will, like, it wasn't like a walk in the park to just be a starting Will. Like, CJ was having a really, really good spring. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was balling.
I think every time they turned one of you guys loose on a blitz, we spent all spring like, this is pretty scary because you have two dynamic athletes just attacking quarterbacks. I remember there being like a scrimmage where the offense just they couldn't do anything because of the way you two were playing.
Yeah, he was having a really good spring. So that was pushing me even more. Like, man, I got to go. I got to pick it up. Like, he's doing well. I got to do well. Like, we don't have any like beef for each other, but it was like us competing with each other, making each other better. And then like you said, you get to the season, you add Arvell into the mix. Now you got 4 guys that are all competing to be on the field. I think when you have that competition, it gets the best out of people. So it definitely helped all of us.
Folks, apologies again for the interruption, but at the podcast, we are working to create something special for you all to really enjoy. And as such, we're pretty selective about the brands that we work with and share with you all. And as a reminder for that, we're excited to reintroduce you to our newest sponsor, Axia Time. Axia is the official timepiece of both the College Football Playoff and the Heisman Trophy. They create ultra-custom watches to commemorate life's greatest moments, like winning a national championship. Axia has created an incredible collection of timepieces to celebrate the 9th national championship for the Buckeyes. These are truly heirloom quality, and there is even a limited edition Ryan Day autographed box set for those of you who want to own a piece of Buckeye history. And who doesn't? Equally important to the quality of the product is the quality of the people behind the brand. As you learn about their backstory, you'll understand why we are partnering with them to bring you this 24-hour series with the stories of the Ohio State Buckeyes national champions. Axia has created a special offer for the podcast listeners. Use the code THE10, THE10 at checkout and get 10% off your order. Check out their designs at axiatime.com, AXIA-time.com. Axia Time, watches that tell so much more than time.
So you were talking about Cody and the leadership on that team last year. I know you're part of that. Clearly, no team ever wins a championship without great leadership. And yours for Ohio State was tested after that loss at the end of the regular season. I think it's almost become like legend that the players only meeting a couple of days after that Tuesday. I know what's said in that room is for you guys, but what do you think about it? What was the response to it from being part of it, and how did it then propel you guys forward?
Yeah, I think the real focus of the meeting, there's a lot of things said, but I think the focus was us getting in the room and saying, like, hey, man, like that was unacceptable. Like, whatever, maybe we kind of called out some of the things we should have done better. And it was more so like guys putting their arms around each other. Like, even though we lost, like, we still got a chance to go do something special. And like, we're all looking at each other like, I believe in you, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, we all believe in each other. And, Coach Dave was in there as well. Like, Coach Dave, we believe in you. We know you believe in us. Like, let's go do this. Because, like, at that point, there's a lot of outside noise being said, whatever. We could have laid down and just lost first round, just went down as, like, one of the most talented teams that never do anything. But, we got up fighting, got up swinging. And,
Why? How did you do it?
I think it starts with Coach Day. He's an amazing leader, amazing head coach, and the culture he always preaches to us is fight. So you get into a moment right there where you lose that game. You're not going to the Big Ten championship like you wanted. You didn't beat that team. And now it's like, okay, what are you going to do now? And I think that's the perfect time where the culture kicked in, which is fight. Yeah. And we kept fighting, not listen to the outside noise, just believe in each other. And, another part of our culture is tough love. And I think that was kind of what that meeting was a little bit of tough love. It maybe not have been what a guy might wanted to hear, but maybe what you needed to hear.
Had to have it, yeah.
And not in a disrespectful way, but out of love, because we all love each other. We're all brothers. So I think those are just like two perfect examples of our culture. And I think that starts with Coach Day. It's just him being an amazing leader. And also like the people he brings here, like the guys we bring in, the kind of people we bring in. You lose that game, you have the wrong people in the locker room, that might cause like certain guys might break the team apart.
Yeah.
But it's everyone coming together. Everyone's like-minded. Everyone has similar goals. So I think that's why we were able to do that.
Was there any part of you, whether you go into that meeting or leave that meeting at that exact time, it's like you were certain in 7 weeks you were going to be a national champion?
Yeah,
Did you have any doubt?
No, at the end of that meeting, we put our arms around each other and started praying. And I looked around, and so everyone's heads down. I was like, bro, we're about to win a natty, bro. This is like a movie. I'm like, no way we're doing this right now. This is crazy. So I think at that point, it was like I feel like, yeah, we're about to go win this.
We started this series with Ryan Day, and he said walking out of the locker room against Tennessee, walking down the tunnel, seeing all the orange, he said in his head, he thought, okay, this is going to go one of two ways. My guys are either going to stand up and go out there and run these guys over, or they're just going to lay down. When you walked out that tunnel and you saw all the orange, because that's more than normal, let's be honest, what was your response, and how did you guys, how did you rally in that short amount of time to just say, hey, forget what happened? I'm going to be honest with you. I was legitimately, and I'm not trying to make a joke here, like legitimately worried at the end of the Michigan game. I know you got pepper sprayed in the face, and like I was standing next to you. I thought you had like taken some very serious like shot to the face. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like something is. That could have been your last memory of last season, and you guys went out and made sure it wasn't. So how did you do that? And when you get back in the locker room after that Tennessee game, what is the response from your coaches? Because they're pragmatic. They're not going to go out, well, we're going to go win a national championship now. They're like, okay, we got one more. But you guys are saying, hey, once we complete this first one, it's on.
Yeah, the focus from the coaches was, not just the coach, but the coaches and the players was, one more week with this team together. We beat Tennessee, man. We got one more week with this team together. Mm-hmm. Beat whoever, got one more week with this team together. I think that was the focus each week. But I think coming out that Tennessee game, seeing all the orange, seeing the guys across the field with their shirt off, it wasn't like it was funny to us.
It was funny to us
too.
It
was like we were just kind of like, man, we're about to go hit these guys in the mouth. I don't even know what's coming. Like we're about to go smash them. So I don't think it was a surprise the way we.
You think that they read the social media stuff about you guys more than you did? Because I'm always interested. You're young guys. You're on social media. The whole world is taking shots at your coaches and your players and trying to tell you that you should quit. And then you guys just, essentially give the double middle finger to everyone. Say, hey, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
How do you find the passion to do that? The desire to keep going like that?
Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of guys, we're all young guys. We all have social media. You see the things people say. And I just think the thing that defines people is, like, do you listen to that and believe what they say, whether good or bad? Because, I think when you listen to people say how good you are, that's never good either. Yeah. Just as it's not good to listen to how people say how bad you are. So do you believe what other people say? Or are you going to create your own story because that's what you think? That's who you think you are. You're going to be who you think you are, not what someone else thinks you are. And yeah, I think that's the kind of guys we have on this team. When people say a lot of bad things about us, it's not like, we don't have guys in our locker room like thinking that's, man, like Coach Day, no one believes in that. We don't listen to outside noise. We said in that meeting, the only thing that matters is the people in this Woody and what they say, the opinions within this Woody. The outside noise doesn't matter, and that's what we focus on.
So you said it's hard to pick one moment from last year. Is there one game that you particularly think about more than another? One you think was your best or was the most enjoyable? We've had a lot of people talk already about the experience of Penn State, and I think for the coaching staff, that did really resonate with them. But what's the one game that you hearken back to from last year more than any other?
Maybe the Oregon game, the second Oregon game.
Okay.
I think the way we played right there, it was like, man, that was like I looked up in the second quarter, we're up like 31-0, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like I knew our offense was going to perform really well against them. I knew we were going to perform well, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting that.
I don't think anybody was.
I wasn't expecting that. Not like that. But that one just felt really good. Obviously you lost the first one. And, it was my first time being in California for the Rose Bowl. You're playing the number one team in the country, and you go out there and just blow them out the water. So that game was probably the best feeling. That and Tennessee, those two games probably felt the best. Obviously, like the national championship feels amazing, but I just think like in that moment, those games just felt like, man, like we just smashed them. Like that was crazy. Like I don't know. It's just like it's like one of those winning feelings. Like just feels so good. Like the way we won, how we did it, almost like a flawless game.
Right.
But
then you have to regroup and play Texas the next week.
Play Texas the next week. I think Texas is probably like that play with Jack. That's probably the craziest play I've ever been a part of in my entire life.
What was your vantage point there?
Man, just seeing Jack pick up the ball, I just looked at the running back and I was like, oh shoot, I just started running. And I was just like,
because you had a good view of it.
Yeah,
you were part of it.
I'm right in front of it. He was right there in front of me. So just seeing him run down the field and he just scored, man, I'm like.
And you said before that goes back to the first Oregon game when Lathan had the interception on the 2-point conversion, where he got run down.
Yeah,
and you guys could have easily let Jack just handle up by himself because if he would have been tackled at the 30, like the result pretty much is the same. But obviously having there's clips of you. 70 yards down the field, still making sure you're in front of people.
Yeah, trying to escort.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a surreal play, man. And then just seeing, Jack, a guy I grew up with, making the play, and just being out there with him. I think my brother was in on that play. Ty might have been on that play, like a bunch of Pickerton guys I grew up around. Just being a part of that play, man, it's something you dream about as a kid. So, and I think Jack's he's one of the best examples of what it means to be a Buckeye. So for him to be the one making the play, it only feels right.
Did your hit and pass breakup on the tight end there earlier in the game, did it feel like it was a special hit to you? Did it feel like normal? Were you surprised at how impactful it was? It became a pretty big highlight.
It didn't feel like nothing crazy to me. I was actually a little worried. Loridas was actually mad at me because he was mad at me a little bit, but it was because I started dropping and I kind of found him late. So I was just more worried about if he caught it or dropped it. I wasn't really thinking about how hard I hit him. But no, it was definitely it's a cool play to watch. But you can't sit on it too much. You got to move on from it. But it was a solid play.
I look back to the 2015 national championship game against Oregon, and the impact that the Alabama game the week before had. A lot of people even looking back now, still, the Alabama game was the national championship game that year. But because you only had to go play one more, and it was obviously against Oregon, and that team could have, and they blew out Oregon the way you guys did. But you had to play a perfect game against Tennessee, pretty much, a perfect game against Oregon, pretty much, a borderline to, the Texas game was a fist fight.
That was a fist fight.
That
was a great ball team. They were great.
And then you have Notre Dame, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, Notre Dame is just a foregone conclusion. How many more games could you guys have won? How many more do you think you could have gotten to that level? Because it seems difficult, and we talk about this all the time.
4's not enough, bro.
Well, I'm just saying, during the regular season, we're oftentimes like, how hard it is to put together 13 straight games where you play in you've done it 4 in a row at the highest level with ultimate stakes. If you lose, you're out. I mean, how did you guys keep it together and keep yourselves? I know the power of saying one more game with my brothers. I get that. But there is a mental side of that has to come from somewhere else, right? I mean, where did it come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the guys on the team are like-minded. A lot of guys who are strong in faith. I think that was a huge part of the team and why we were the way we were. And I think I just want to go back. I think it goes back to Coach Day too, and just the type of leader he is, and the way he was able to keep our team focused and together, and just focus on the right things. I think that team we would have won however many games we needed to win. And I honestly believe that just because of the guys we have and the kind of leader Coach Day is. Do
you guys take it personally when you read outside noise about your head coach? How hard is it as a player knowing that, hey, you guys were on the field on November 30th and you didn't get it taken care of, and then he gets the brunt of all of this emotion from the fan base and from national media who are rooting for him to be fired? How hard is it to not take that personally?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It's like you said, that's our head coach, that's our leader. We love him. We know he cares about us, and we know how amazing of a head coach he is. And seeing the things people say about him, and after that game, it was tough. And it's almost like a lot of guys kind of looking at themselves like, man, what did I do in that game to get the finger to be pointed at him? Because all the game is it's like a few plays go a different way. You keep your leverage on this play, or if you don't bounce out of this gap, things like that, you might win the game and everyone loves you. So I think it's more so guys just looking at themselves like, man, what do I need to do better? It's not because guys love Coach Day, and I think everyone in this building believes in him, and obviously everyone in the outside world believes in him now that we won, but we believed him the whole time, and he believed in us the whole time.
Sonny, I know how much you hate to put the spotlight on yourself, and I ask you to do it a lot. What do you think was the best play you made last year?
This might not be my best play, but one of the most important plays I made was probably blocking for Jack on that. That was probably one of the most
See, here you go plays. Again. You're already shining on somebody else.
That was probably one of the most important plays. The best play, maybe the sack against Texas. Mm-hmm. I thought that was one of my better pass rushes I had.
Yeah.
Coming off the edge.
And no one ever talks about that ball being on the ground,
the forced fumble. I wish someone would have covered it. That's how you remember it a little more. But that's probably one of my best pass rushes. I felt really good about that because I do work with Coach Day occasionally. Me and Coach Johnson do some work occasionally. So I actually got to do it a little bit. It worked. I'm like, man, did that just work? It was like, damn, am I getting a sack? I got up. I was like, oh, let's go. So
be careful, or you're going to have to go play a 7th and 8th position on this.
You're going to have to go compete against CJ again.
So that's probably one of the plays that felt really good. But I don't know. I can't really pick out the best play. That's probably one of my best plays, I'd say.
I know, because every time I ask you that, you talk about the 2 plays that you didn't make and how you want to get better. And I get that. I think when we sum all that up, I think that's what's got Ohio State to that level. It's what's got you to this level. It's that always striving for perfection, and you fall short sometimes. I get that. But it was really impressive to watch, I think, to sum that up. And it was rewarding to cover and watch. And I know that you're not done, but there is a part of us that wants to make sure that the stories are told for that and the appreciation is on it, because what you guys did accomplish is really rare. And I know you're still in some ways processing that and you want to do it again, but there's got to be some moments to reflect on that, and I hope you get them.
No doubt, the story's got to live on forever.
You have highlighted the talk after the team meeting as a moment where you felt like, hey, I think we're going to go do this. Is there one play in the playoff, one moment in the playoff? Most people, we've asked this to everyone that's done the show so far, and I think everyone except for Ryan Day has said Jack's fumble recovery is the moment that you're like, hey, we're going to do this, and or is there a different moment for you? Justin Fry said it was in the Oregon game, but I don't want to lead you in any direction. Do you want to cry? Can I make you cry?
I'd probably say after the Tennessee game or after the Oregon game. Because after the Tennessee game, it was like the way we dominated the game. It was like man, we're on another level. Like if we can play like this and keep up with this play that we're playing right now, I don't think anyone can really do anything with us. But I think the way we played that game and the way we dominated, it was like, yeah, man, we're about to go do this, man. Like we're more than capable. We're about to go do it. And then playing the Oregon game, like the way that's the number one team in the country. We just dominated them. Yeah. And it was like the only thing that's stopping us from winning is us. So it was really just knowing that and having confidence in that. It's like, man, like why wouldn't I prepare as best as I can to go play my best football? And all you have left is 3 weeks. Something like. So knowing when like the only way you can not win is a self-inflicted wound, it was like just makes you want to be even more sharp. Like
when you're beating someone like you're beating Oregon in that game, right? It's 34-0. They get on the board at the end of the first half because they get lucky with a couple penalties that shouldn't have happened. Whatever. We're not here to relitigate the officiating. But what are you saying to Dylan Gabriel when you're hitting him over and over again like that? What is he saying? Is there a moment where he says, "Please stop"?
No, you're not. I don't know. Not too many guys on our teams talk that much trash.
Especially not the linebacker.
I think when you just hit a dude, you keep hitting them, and you just look him in the eye after, and you don't say anything. I think that's almost a bigger message than talking.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's like when the dude's just on the ground, you look up and like, man, he's not even saying nothing to me. This is just what he does. Like, this is just what he does. That's who he is. I think that strikes a little bit more fear than talking. But we got guys that like to talk. We got guys like IGB, Lathan, all them dudes.
The regulators, your job is to regulate, not to conversate.
No doubt.
The conversators are the corners.
Yeah, those guys like to talk. You need that energy as a corner, though, man. You gotta think you're the best thing ever, the best thing in the world. I'm the nicest dude. I think you need that as a corner, and I'm glad they got that. Now we got IGB and Jermaine. Those are both two dudes who love to talk some trash. So,
well, I know those guys and yourself are focused on trying to go back to back, but we wanted to make sure that we could get some of your insight and stories on what happened to get that first ring, and we sincerely appreciate it, Sonny. So that's going to wrap it up for episode 5 with Sonny Styles, number 6 in your playbook, but maybe a different number.
We put you here for a reason.
In 2025, we'll see. There's a long way to go.
We put you with this backdrop for a reason.
Just foreshadowing. We just think you might have a different number next year. Yeah, we're just speculating. But that's for another day and another story.
You guys are funny.
Thanks for joining us on 2024 Ever, the stories of the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. That's Berm. I'm Austin, and this is Sonny Styles. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.